In today's video, I will be doing a review of the light you see behind me, which is the ADJ DOTZ TPAR System. This is a system that's been around for a long time, and I just got one recently within the past couple of months, and I've been using it for a lot of events as my basic lighting setup, because previously I was lugging around one of these heavy stands with, that's the T-bar right there on the wall, along with individual, if you can see, wash lights. Those were attached to that T-bar. Very heavy, very cumbersome to move. And when it's your basic lighting setup, that's not really what you're going for. So that's why I got this. I've used these in the past. My friend Matt, Music Box Entertainment, has one of these. So I have plenty of experience with this light, is basically what I'm trying to say. And I like this light. I'll talk about in a minute why I'm a big fan of this light specifically when you compare it with something like a Chauvet Gig Bar. But I also have a lot of pet peeves and nuances with this light, and you know, its bag and stand and stuff like that. And it's stuff that I've seen with all of them for the most part that I've used. So first thing I want to talk about is what comes with this light. So first thing, obviously, you have the TPAR system itself, which is the four dots, which are COB or cob LEDs. They look very different from a traditional PAR, like the ones you see on the wall behind me. They look actually more like a halogen or incandescent, like stage, old style floodlight. Obviously the stand is also included. It's a pretty tall stand, definitely adequate for this, and it's pretty heavy duty. It's not like a really cheap stand. It's definitely beefy enough to handle this T-bar and a pretty good beating, which, seeing as I use this just about multiple times every weekend, that's what it needs to be. So it's a good quality light. Obviously it comes with a included power cable. It also comes with a foam like carrying case, so it's kind of a hard case, but it's not really a hard case. It comes with a remote, lens filter things for all the lights, which we'll talk about those as well. Comes with a bag for the stand, nuts to go on top here, which another thing, a feature that I'll talk about in a minute. A foot pedal and a 5-pin DMX cable. I think it's something that's kind of more on the end of if you're a band or something, which these are a great light for. They're not just for DJs. But so let's talk about what kind of comes in the package or the box first. I think the lights are pretty self-explanatory. You can't just take them off and plug them in to regular power. If you look at the back side, they're all manually wired in. So there's a display here, and you'll notice that there is also, the display is your typical straightforward ADJ display. I think we're beyond that. You can DMX address it and do all that stuff. Go through different modes, sound active, all this different stuff. The sound active mode is pretty cool. I like what it does, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But you see it has power outputs here, and that is because you can actually put on these two screws another light. So it comes with these thumb screw things, I'm going to call them, or thumb nuts, that just screw right on. And what I have actually done, and I should be able to show you a picture of it, is I have put my monogram on top of this when, because typically when I do monogram, I just mount it on one of my truss towers, but there are certain weddings where people get a monogram as an add-on and don't actually get the truss towers, which and it's actually really nice that I can screw that on. Plus you actually can control these outlets on here with the remote that's included, and that's your standard DOTZ TPAR RF remote with a couple of different buttons on it than you would have for like just regular DOTZ TPAR. So this is a really great feature. Absolutely love this. It was super functional just maybe 2 weeks after I got this light. I did that with the monogram. It made the setup really seamless. I didn't have to bring an extra stand or anything, so that was really nice. I'll give you a quick example of these light shaping filters, or whatever you'd like to call them. As you can see, it really looks like a lens, because it is literally a lens. Let me see if I can show you how this is going to look. So you can see super wide. I have all the other lights turned to the back. So this is one light just set to blue, and here's what it looks like when I put this filter on. So I'd say it's probably like a 150-degree beam. You can look at the photometrics, but I don't care enough to actually do that. So And this is what it looks like when you add this lens. So it gets a lot tighter with an actual beam, and then there is some overspray around the sides, but I've been using this without these lenses because they make it so tight that it's almost like a spotlight. And when you have the lights going in sound active mode, you end up with like a spotlight, and you know, they kind of chase across. So, and I can show you that too. But if I just tap this, sometimes they just flash between colors, and sometimes they do like these pixel things where they go across. Does different colors, obviously. I think it's a pretty nice sound active mode. On these lights that you see on the wall, these are ADJ 5P hexes, which I do have a review for. I'm not a huge fan of the sound mode because there's a lot of colors that basically end up getting washed out to look like white. This has a pretty good sound active mode. Obviously, part of what it's designed for is to be a DJ light. I want to talk about a reason why I like this light and why I absolutely vehemently hate Chauvet gig bars. And actually this will go to a story that I have with a photographer as well. So I'm popping back in to re-record a section of this video about lasers because I spoke with another photographer about lasers, and I actually got to the bottom of why the photographer that I'm talking about had said, hey, please make sure your DJ doesn't use any lasers while we're taking pictures. Apparently, there has been a video going around on the photography side of Instagram of a photographer taking pictures at a wedding that had lasers, and they take a picture, a laser hits the camera, and it makes a line in the image sensor, which is totally believable. That's definitely something that can happen under the right scenario. It's gonna be pretty rare. In this case, the wedding that they were taking pictures at, they were using what seemed to be more powerful lasers than your typical like microgalaxian or, you know, similar dots laser that's very low powered. As a general rule of thumb, lasers are dangerous, and there are plenty of warnings on them about not looking into them or anything. So I think you can understand that it's not good for a laser to hit a camera sensor. It also depends, and this is very technical, but on the optics of the lens that the photographer is using, because the more that that lens concentrates the light coming into the camera, among a number of other things with the lens, will have the potential to take that laser and make it even stronger on the camera sensor and destroy it faster, or more likely to destroy it. So, as a general rule of thumb, it sounds like going forward, if there's photographers at the event, that DJs really shouldn't be using lasers, especially if you're, say, a little newer to the DJ industry and you don't understand necessarily how lasers work and how you should use them safely. For example, if you point the laser at the ceiling, you're probably fine. That's my little spiel on lasers and why I like that the ADJ DOTZ TPAR does not have lasers. This light was originally, I think, $399 when it came out. I think it's like $600 now. Inflation, I think, is a load of crap, but it's still a great light for the price. You get a lot of power out of these. So, you know, honestly, each one of these could replace easily one of those. So it's a good light. Plus, you get all these controls over the things on top. So normally, bar lights like this are supposed to be cost effective, and this is cost effective, but it also adds some important features with, you know, these plugs and stuff on top. The only thing I don't like so much is that the collar here is not very like tight around the top of the stand, and what I mean by that is, now coming down to some of the really like actual issues with this light. If they ever came out with another version of this, I would hope that they would fix this. The bag the stand is supposed to be transported in. The bag that I got was literally ripped when it came out of the package. It is so cheap that like you're lucky to get it out of the package and have it in one piece. So I threw it away immediately. Same thing happened to Matt when he got his. He bought a separate new bag just for the stand. So it's a very obvious flaw. Could I ask ADJ for a new one and they'd probably send me, you know, a new bag? Probably, but I just don't care enough about it. At the end of the day, it's a stand. All my lighting stands don't go in bags anyway because they don't fit. So I got this from KPO-DJ for probably like under $500. If I had spent a full $600 on this, that would be a little disappointing that the stand bag was ripped when it came out of the box. I have a lot of little nitpicks on this light. Like I talked about, those lenses, they're a little too tight for my personal opinion, and these lights are kind of wide in their dispersion without the lenses. I would prefer that the lenses were just like a little bit tighter. I don't really mind the wideness. Annoy me that the lenses are so tight that they look like spotlights and then you end up with like kind of like bouncing across the room. My most major pet peeves are actually with this bag that it comes with. That I know this is the first time I'm showing you the bag, but it comes with this soft case that I was talking about. And you can see it's got like sort of a precast foam in here. I have a couple problems with this bag, but the major one is as you can see, I've put this into the case. It fits in the case just fine. Sometimes you have to kind of shimmy it in a little bit to get it into like the right place, but it goes in just fine. You don't have to unscrew like the back of the lights or anything, which is good. We like that. If I try and close the case right now with this unscrewed, it's not going to close all the way. And I'm going to have to force it to get it zipped. You can force it, but the case is a good material. It's not the best material, so personally I don't force it. I just tighten this down. You can see where like the handle makes the indent in it, even when it's tightened down. And my problem here is that ADJ could have very easily cast into like this, I'm assuming it's like the styrofoam stuff, just a little circle right here that went like maybe an inch deep. That way you don't have to spend the extra couple seconds to tighten this down and untighten it every time you take it out, because it's really kind of a pain in the butt. The other thing that they could have cast into this case, the little screw things that go on here, you can't leave those on really when you close this, because it'll sit too high and then you end up with problems with this piece here too. So you have to leave those off. I don't use those very often, so it's not a big deal, but if I were, it would be kind of a pain in the butt. And I will say it's not like a big pain, but I got a Ziploc bag to put in here to hold on to them because they're so small, you know, with their little rubber washers and stuff. Very easy to lose, and I would prefer if they were just attached to it and I could take. This bag is nowhere near large enough to fit all the accessories that this comes with. Like the foot pedal, DMX cable, it's not happening, ever. I don't even think this is tall enough this way to fit the foot pedal. But, you know, if we take another scenario, and yes, I know it probably would have added 5 cents of cost to do it, you know, either a bigger pouch, or have like one pouch on this end for the foot pedal and one pouch on this end for the wires. I just feel like it's kind of something in the design that they really lacked. They have all these things that come with it, but I don't even ever think about using the foot pedal when I otherwise might if I could actually transport it with the bag, because there's no way I can fit it in this bag, and I would need to bring an extra box or bag or case or something. And it's another thing that I can leave behind. And when you're doing a bunch of events in a weekend, the power cable that's included with this light is not even long enough to hit the floor when the stand is as high as it goes. Which for me is like majorly annoying. Granted, every light comes with a short power cable. This one is longer than, you know, you would get with like one of these ADJ 5P hexes behind me. But it's still annoying because then you need to bring an extension cord, and not that I don't bring extension cords already, but it's like, it's supposed to be an all-in-one system. Like a 20-foot power cord would be nice, so I can just straight down, plug it into the wall, don't have to go dig for an extension cord. So another thing to think about, if you're going to buy this light, you're going to need to buy some extra wires and an extra speaker stand bag or light stand bag and stuff like that. I need to wrap this video up quickly. What are my final thoughts on this light? It's an awesome light. I would give it probably like a 4.7 stars out of 10, maybe a 4.5. And it's really because of those nitpicky things. It's an all-in-one system. I'd probably never be happy with one complete all-in-one system anyway, but it's a really awesome light. Definitely better than the Gig Bar, at least in my opinion. If you're just looking to get started with lighting, I think this is a really good option, especially if you're starting to do weddings and stuff and you don't want a cheesy lighting setup. It's great to be a small light that's just a basic T-bar, and at the end of the day, the cost is pretty good, so it's not really worth selling to me ever. 10 years down the road that might change, but it's just an awesome light. If you want to buy one, I'd recommend KPO DJ. Unless you're thinking you might return it, then I'd probably recommend Amazon. I will leave links to both in the description of this video if you want to check it out. The Amazon link will be an affiliates link. If you use that, it will give me like 3 cents back, so that helps to support the channel. Of course, you may know that I'm a Create Connect affiliate or sponsored by them or whatever, so I'll leave a link for that as well. If you want to try them out, make sure you check out my videos on them. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you give me a thumbs up. If you're butthurt that I think Chauvet Gig Bars suck, leave me a comment. And if you like this light or you have one, leave me a comment as well. But that's it for this one. Until next time, peace.